NoDQ.com.
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 The Jeff Meacham Network's Multiverse of Media. For over 15 years, the recognized symbol of excellence and the standard bearer in coverage of sports and entertainment.
Of course, because this thing sucks. Am I on? Can everybody hear me now?
Hello. Can you hear me?
There we go. Good grief.
Good grief, Charlie Brown.
Right? Got 45 minutes. I already ate 2 of them dealing with technical BS. Anyway, welcome to Talk Wrestling here on NoDQ.com and the Jeff Meacham Network Multiverse of Media. This is Aaron Riff, the founder of NoDQ.com. I am good old JM with the Tech Woes, Jeff Meacham. Good to see everybody in the chat room. All like 100 of you popped in. I'm like, oh, NoDQ's on. Oh, wait, it's just Jeff. Never mind. I'll go away now.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Chat room, can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. If you can hear me, Jeff, you there?
I'm here now, I think. I don't know.
All right. Well, if you go mute again, I'm just going to hijack the show and take it over so you can figure it out.
It's on your channel, too, so screw it.
We're live, pal.
God. We're live, pal. Okay. So let's go ahead and get into this really quick since we've got even less time than we did going in. Reminder to everybody, we're going to be on the air at 4:45 or 4:45 for you East Coast kids with our coverage of Monday Night Raw Day 1 edition. A lot of rumors in the air, Aaron. A lot of speculation on who's going to show up for Monday Night Raw tonight. So we'll get into that at the close to the bottom of the hour. But let's get into these awards, Aaron. Let's talk about this. First award, I'm going to go backwards from the order you listed them on the website. That we get to the important stuff at the end because that's how it should be. SmackDown gets Weekly Show of the Year. This one actually surprised me because people have been so critical of the reign of Roman Reigns, but that's been the primary focus on SmackDown. Were you surprised at this vote?
Not at all. SmackDown won last year, and I fully expected it to win this year. I think that AEW Dynamite has gone down a little bit, and Monday Night Raw has gone up, but it's still a 3-hour show, and at times it's a chore to watch. But Raw has improved. However, SmackDown, 2 hours. You've had the Bloodline. You've had the Rise of LA Knight. To me, it's a no-brainer. I was not surprised whatsoever.
That's fair. And, you got people in the chat room saying the same thing. 3.7 million. SmackDown was better. Easy win, according to King Mike. So SmackDown is amazing always, according to Mr. Mansfield. Mr. Mansfield got roasted quite a bit on the show yesterday, so we appreciate Josh being here. How did NXT do? That's a good question. I know it wasn't I think Dynamite did better in NXT, if I remember right, Aaron. So that surprised me because Dynamite has criticized as it's been, still did better numbers.
You know what? Let me go ahead and pull up the actual results, and I can tell you exactly what the percentages were. So if we're working backwards, let's take a look at the weekly show of the year. Raw was second, Dynamite third, NXT fourth, Impact Wrestling fifth, and Collision last. Impact beat Collision.
Wow. As much as DQ doesn't cover Impact Wrestling, soon to be TNA Wrestling again, that's very telling how irrelevant Collision became once the departure of CM Punk was a thing. So just, wow. That surprised me. I'm not going to lie. This next one, not so much of a surprise. And I'll say that because I was there for this title change. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens winning the tag team championships at WrestleMania 39. Aaron, you and I went to PWG shows so many times over the years, watched these two guys come up through the PWG roster, if you will, going out there wearing PWG colors on the gear and having them have that moment inside SoFi Stadium. God, whatever it was, 80-something thousand people around them, around me. It was a very emotional moment for me. It was definitely a big highlight of that weekend. You know, the Undertaker WrestleMania weekend, got to hang out with people. I got to see people I hadn't seen in a decade or more. This moment at the end of night one was super, super special, and I can easily see one title change of the year.
Absolutely. It got 73% of the vote, which is a very solid majority, and it was the moment that we were all waiting for. They were building up for months and months this storyline, and this was really the climax of it with Sami Zayn finally getting one over on the Bloodline, and that creating the domino effect of all the other problems with the Bloodline. Definitely title change of the year, no question about it as far as I'm concerned.
Good point by JJ. JJ and Noah were on the call for me for WrestleMania this year on the Multiverse of Media, and just his emotion in calling Generico and Steen becoming the WWE Tag Team Champions was just amazing. Super cool moment. Right up there with Bryan Danielson coming out to Final Countdown this year for JJ, at least in my eyes, based on what we talked about yesterday. So very cool. By the way, if you missed Open Mic Night, go back and watch that. So much fun yesterday. Right, Josh? Anyway, love you, Josh. Oh, wait, wrong way. There it goes. Talker of the Year. The first of many awards for our buddy, our scumbag, Aaron, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, who we had known that MJF had been a fan of ours for the content for a while, but to get to meet him and to get interacting with him was super cool. Yeah, and he's very deserving of this award this year based on what he said and did this year.
He absolutely deserves it, in my opinion. I mean, he's a fantastic talker. He can do both roles. He was a heel for the first part of the year and then a babyface for the second half. He's top tier, man. He definitely deserves it. And to me, it wasn't even close. I mean, LA Knight had some good moments, but not at the level of MJF.
No, not at all. And it just, you mentioned that he fills both roles so masterfully. I thought I had it loaded in the room here. I don't, obviously, just because that's the way my day is going. So we'll go ahead and let's see where they're at here real quick. Since we're more than 5 minutes in, I'm going to go ahead and play. We'll play the bigger one. It's stuff like this while he won Talker of the Year, folks.
You're live in OG Collective.
I'll take it from here. Ladies and gentlemen, just in case you're deaf, dumb, blind, stupid, or since you watch Jeff Meacham programming, probably a little poor. My name is Maxwell Jacob Friedman. I am the longest reigning AEW World Champion and the best professional wrestler on the fucking planet. And if you want to listen to the best professional wrestling journalist, broadcaster, commentator, fat guy, you need to check out Jeff Meacham's channel. He is far superior to Aaron Rift's. When I was in middle school and I wanted to watch the Monday Night Raw review, every single time I watched Jeff Meacham, No DQ, YouTube, every week. He's very good at his job. He is as intelligent as he is fat. Thank you.
That's a lot.
And that's a lot.
Yeah, there is that, folks. There you go. But lest we forget, there was another one. Josh, I mean, since you brought it up in the chat, I mean, we'll go ahead and play that one too.
We're getting ready to leave, but Max insisted that he talk to
I got to talk to Josh Mansfield real quick. Josh, you've never seen Mary Poppins? What are you, a fucking piece of shit? Grow up. And also, the Meltzer of the multiverse.
I know.
Who the fuck wants to compare themselves to another? How much of a mark do you have to be? You couldn't even pick a professional athlete. You went with a fucking journalist? Grow up, man. Fuck. Watch Mary Poppins or go kill yourself.
And then watch Full Gear after that. with this
Absolutely.
guy.
This Saturday, November 18th.
Because we're going to kill Jay White.
Yeah, it's fuck Jay White season,
fuck Jay
bro.
White season.
Fuck that bitch.
Fuck that guy.
Oh, can't say nothing else. He's very opinionated, that Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
The kill yourself line is the icing on the cake there.
Yeah, it's like, oh, when he said that, I thought, like, oh man, that's gonna get heat. People ate it up, so it's like, okay, whatever works. Oh, sweet Jesus. Anyway, so Max is our talk of the year. Congrats to Max on winning that vote. Very, very cool. I'm trying to catch messages, trying to do everything. I'm trying to be a one-man show here, so forgive me if I'm a little flabbergasted here. The next one was for that one we already saw, so we'll keep going backwards. Jesus Christ. Most underutilized. Now, see, this one kind of threw me off, and I say that because I thought Chad was pretty well utilized this year.
He was, but I don't think he was utilized enough. Like, I think a lot of people wanted to actually see him win the title from Gunther. He was getting really hot, and we could have had that moment where he won the title in front of his family and everything. Like, they never really followed up on it. Like, he kind of just went back to being in the mid card. So I think, like, a lot of people think Chad Gable can be an upper card guy, and he's still somewhere in the middle right now. And it felt like he had a chance to break out earlier this year, and not earlier this year, it's a new year now, last year, and it never really panned out. So I'm hopeful he'll get another opportunity to be a top tier guy. You know, he got that little brush with greatness, and then they kind of gave up on it. But I agree with this. You know, I think he's okay. He could still be utilized better.
There you go. Feud of the year. This one, I think because it didn't play out the entire year, it kind of built up more last year. It was surprising, but looking back, anytime you get family involved, it's so real, so visceral that it's just so emotional. And, you know, seeing this play out again at WrestleMania, I got to see this play out live. It was just an amazing moment.
I would say it's up there, but I was a little surprised that Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso did not win, considering that was a red hot angle they did in Saudi Arabia to set the breakup. And then you had the tag match and Jey pinned Roman, and then you had SummerSlam at Ford Field. Like that was an epic feud. And dare I say, even though he didn't beat Roman Reigns, I think that feud really elevated Jey Uso to truly be a main event level guy. Like, he comes out there, he gets those reactions that only your top tier guys get. But yeah, Dominic and Ray, very entertaining. And, you know, I'm not surprised it won, but, you know, I was a little surprised that it wasn't like neck and neck. I think this won by a pretty decent amount. And it is deserved, though. Like, it was a very entertaining feud.
What I found interesting is the next one. Little Dominic Mysterio. Who'd have thought back in 2005 we were still doing XMV and covering the I'm your poppy angle, that Dominic Mysterio would be winning a NoDQ.com year-end award, especially for heel of the year. Holy crap.
Yeah, I mean, he goes out there and he doesn't even have to say anything. He can try to talk and he gets booed out of the building. But this one I felt personally was close, because Christian Cage really stepped it up on the mic. And I was at Dynamite in Detroit, and I could not hear him talk. That's how loud the boos were when he was out there. But he does go for the cheap heat, and Dominic just knows how to rile the people up just by being arrogant naturally. He doesn't have to resort to, like, insulting people for having dead fathers and that sort of thing, going for the really cheap heat. But Christian Cage does it extremely well, and, you know, few can do it at his level. Like, he's really good in that role. So it's close, but yeah, I would give it to Dominic.
It's a good point by Josh. Dominic Mysterio got the assignment of CM Punk's first match back in the company after being gone nearly a decade in the Garden, no less. That's very, very telling. That match also happened Saturday night at the Forum. So, just very, very cool. And hard to argue with JJ that Dom's been the overall MVP of WWE for this year, just with all the work he's done and the amount of improvement he's made in the last 12 months. Just unbelievable. This one, I never thought he'd be giving out this award for MJF, but there he is. He's our scumbag, and he's the baby face of the year. My goodness.
I'm a little surprised by this one, and I'll tell you why. Not that MJF isn't great at what he does, which he is, but some people have crapped on the babyface turn, thinking he's gone soft, and I feel he's done a really strong job in that role and coming out there and making you feel sympathetic towards him. I think he's great in whatever role he does. The thing, though, is he did turn closer to the end of the year, maybe summer with Adam Cole. That was when the turn really went down. Cody, on the other hand, has been the top babyface of the company for the entire year, going back to the Royal Rumble with his comeback, main eventing WrestleMania, and having that feud with Brock Lesnar. Cody's been the guy as far as babyfaces go, while MJF was a heel for the first half of the year. So love MJF, but I actually think I would have gone with Cody here, but he won it. So there you go. I think that tells you something. There were some people criticizing MJF as a babyface, but hey, he got the vote. So some people like it. There you go.
It's the power of the microphone and the power of Max to be able to, get into the hearts of not just the no DQ, but the entire wrestling world. Very cool. Very happy for Max there. This one did not surprise me, man. Everybody and their mother just does that big reaction. Whoa, whenever he comes out, to the point of JJ, who's in the chat, God bless him. His daughter just now gave him permission to do the entire song and not just the whoa-whoas. So
there you go. I mean, it's all subjective, especially this category. It's just your own taste. But yeah, I mean, it's iconic. That song is great. It's perfect for Cody. And the crowd is now singing the lyrics to the song, not just the whoa. I mean, it's remarkable. Seth Rollins has, a song that has been part of his gimmick, but it is repetitive and it gets old. So yeah, I agree with this one. I think Cody is the right choice.
I think if Cody's song hadn't been around the entire year, I think Rollins would have been in better contention. I'll tell you what, I was at WrestleMania when Rollins came out to face Logan Paul. That the embellished entrance of both him and Roman Reigns with the piano with Roman and the guy conducting for Rollins was just next level hysterical. So, I thought they were both good. But yeah, nobody's going to touch Cody's. I think had Punk come back earlier, it would have been a different discussion.
Right.
But we'll see what happens in 2024. This one, I think there was no contest. The vote seemed closer based on what I saw than I thought it would be. But is there any bigger story in wrestling, Aaron, than not only WWE being out of the hands of direct McMahon control, but Vince pretty much not having any say? It's crazy.
CM Punk coming back was a surprise and a very big story, but you have to look at the long-term ramifications. And this, with Vince essentially losing a lot of his power, still has a role in the company, but he's not running creative anymore. And just the idea that WWE, after decades, is no longer a McMahon family owned operation. I mean, that is very significant. So yeah, this was legitimately the biggest news story of the year.
It's crazy. We were sitting here a year ago at this time talking about Vince's retirement, and we both were like, we've been watching our entire lives, and it really hit me last year when I was looking up information on WrestleMania back at the SoFi, and the thing was, this will be the first WrestleMania where Vince and I went, holy shit, that's a reality. Vince is not in control of the company anymore. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
It was one of those, wow. So yeah, it was definitely the headline of the year by a big margin, at least for me. Comeback of the year. I like Randy. I'm glad Randy's back. I'm glad that 18 months he was able to get himself healed up, and he looks better than ever. He looks amazing right now. I feel like there was discussion, at least with me and on my team, that Trish should have been in more discussion because of how long she was involved over the course of the year. Punk, of course, coming back was huge, but again, late in the year, end of November. So he wasn't really the comeback of 2023. He was the comeback of the winter or comeback of the fall, but not the whole year. Randy had been gone for the entire year. It was a significant return from injury, and he looked better than ever. Punk, well, I think Punk was more of a surprise, and that's why people didn't vote for him more. What do you think?
Yeah, I would say Punk was a great return, but as far as comeback goes, I mean, it is a comeback, but it's just getting started. Randy Orton coming back from a long length of absence, a very serious injury that could have ended his career. So yeah, I agree with this, that Randy Orton is the comeback of the year. But I mean, CM Punk, when it's all said and done, could have one of the greatest comebacks in wrestling history with the WWE return. But I would say, because of the fact that Orton was gone so long, Orton would be my pick.
And all we ever heard, from reputable sources, you and I both, Aaron, Randy was done. So very cool that he's back. I'm happy for Randy. This one, I think, may have been a surprise to some, not to me. The Bloodline not getting the top vote was one of those, well, they've fallen off this year.
Yeah.
Where Judgment Day's just been on the rise all year, really.
Absolutely. Yeah. No contest here. I think it's clearly the Judgment Day. This was their year. As Rhea said, they became the most dominant faction in WWE.
Yeah. Heel of the year, feud of the year, faction of the year, and I promise you more to come from the Judgment Day here.
Yep.
Where are we at? Oh, yeah. See, there you go. Again, for the Casa and for the No DQ guys, it's like, this is cool because Shawn Ricker's, winning awards and, having prominent television time on WWE. So it's really cool to see LA Knight win not only catchphrase of the year, let me go ahead and do the next one while we're at it, but breakout star of the year as well.
Yeah.
It's crazy that LA Knight's RH. He's literally 40. And he's really hitting his stride now. That wasn't the thing we were fans growing up, Aaron. Like guys that were like in their 40s or whatever, it was like, not so much.
Yeah, remember like when Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage went to WCW, I think they were like 44, 43, somewhere around there. And they were considered old over the hill guys, Yep. But yeah, I'm happy for him that he's seen the success in 2023. And I was there at Madison Square Garden when he started building up that momentum. He didn't but he came out there and got maybe the loudest pop of the night, even more than the Usos. And then, of course, SummerSlam was the beginning of his really strong run up to this point. And it's been fun to watch.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Really quick before we go to the next award, I just want to ask you, because I know how important it is to both of us, but you, having been in that area a good period of your life over the years, how awesome for real was it to finally be in the Garden for a WWE show?
I mean, that was just, a dream come true. That was one of the things I've been wanting to do for decades, going back to being a kid. All those historic WWE events, WrestleMania, Survivor Series 2002, Royal Rumble 2000, just about every major WWE event happened at Madison Square Garden at one point. SummerSlam 98, a lot of iconic shows there. So yeah, I was very happy to be there and see SmackDown in the Garden. It was really fun. I'm glad I got the chance to do it.
Yeah, so you mentioned the Garden. We're talking about Noah and JJ are doing retro WrestleMania calls leading up to. We're going to be broadcasting them going up to WrestleMania 40. They just did WrestleMania 10 recently. PCO being a WWF Tag Team Champion at WrestleMania 10, and he's wrestling now.
Yeah, that's insane.
He's insane. He's a madman. This award, okay, I've been wanting to bitch at you for this years about this award. I'll tell you what. She's an announcer, yes, but she's not a commentator announcer. She's a ring announcer. There's a difference.
Yeah, it's always been anybody who is a voice of WWE is considered an announcer. That's always how I've I've done it with the awards. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people have told me like I should change it up, and I may start doing that at some point.
Okay.
But then what do I do about this? You know, do I
I'm
do
not.
a new vote or what? You know, it's tough to say what I should do.
Not shitting on Sam. I love her style. I think that she's been over copied as a result of her unique style because every ring announcer except Justin Roberts announces like her now. It bugs.
I think the problem maybe is that when I started the awards, you know, there weren't a lot of announcers that were ring announcers that were considered up for contention or, you know, enough to make a full poll out of. You know, I like to do like six people in the poll, and you know, there were limited options, especially with WCW and ECW going under around the time I started doing the awards. So yeah, just kind of like I clumped them all together, and it's just been that way. And I think this might have been the first time. Like I feel like there were years where like Justin Roberts was in the mix with Michael Cole and so on and so forth. But I think this is actually the first time that the ring announcer won over the commentators.
Well, that just shows how popular she is. I mean, there's more memes and TikToks or whatever you want to call it about her because she's just so unique. And like I said, she's been overcopied. There was a question in the chat room, so I'm going to go back to the previous award here. Give me 1 second. There it is. Psycho Jet Black with $5 super chat. Thank you, Psycho. Appreciate that. We'll do this really quick. Who do we think is the next Max Dupree? Because that's what LA Knight had before the Max Dupree gimmick, as in a guy who's very talented, but saddled with a crappy gimmick, but can still be a major star.
Well, that guy in NXT who does the Bray Wyatt like gimmick, Joe Gacy.
Joe Gacy, yeah,
maybe him.
I think that I think he's at least in NXT wise, unless they really just flip the switch on him, he's too far gone character wise to salvage it. But you know, Max Dupree was a horrible character, and look at Sean now. So I don't know. See, I like to think nobody's unsavable, but man, Joe Gacy's been a hard sell, especially taking the Grizzly Young Veterans away from him, and now they're going to be an Impact or TNA next week, taking Ava away from him, and she's now like the head of the women's division. So it's going to be a hard sell to get Gacy back on track. Speaking of LA Knight, also the finisher of the year with the BFT and blunt force trauma. I didn't lots to type out there. I didn't want to make it seem too small, but the BFT wins finisher of the year.
A bit of a mixed reaction from people online. Like I saw some comments, people saying the move doesn't look good, and you know, you could argue that, but it's something different. And Cody Rhodes Crossroads. The problem is Cody has to hit it like 3 times or more to win matches, it seems. With the BFT, it's like a one and done. You know, he hits it and game over. And I don't think anybody's kicked out of it. I think they protected his finisher with Roman, as a matter of fact. Yeah. And, you know, Roman didn't actually kick out of it. So, yeah, I think it's the right call.
I think people have such an affinity for the stunner, the RKO, the diamond cutter, that it's so similar that people just latch onto it. So, yeah, I sound like the founder of that move too, the way I'm talking today. So forgive me in advance. I'm on the air. Quiet. Nope. Where was I? There we go. Anyway. Pay-per-view of the year, WrestleMania. No surprise there. WrestleMania almost always gets this vote, and WrestleMania was so solid this year. Yeah.
As long as WrestleMania doesn't suck, I think it's usually going to be your best bet for pay-per-view of the year. I mean, it's the Super Bowl of wrestling. It's the greatest spectacle. WrestleMania is in a league of its own. And because of that, I would say that it is the pay-per-view of the year just for being that spectacle. Was it top to bottom the best card of matches? That's debatable for sure. I mean, I think some of the AEW shows were very close to the level of WrestleMania. I mean, there were some AEW matches that I thought were better than any of the matches at WrestleMania, but overall, WrestleMania had that spectacle. So my choice would be WrestleMania 39. I would say that was the pay-per-view of the year. And I know some people are saying like you should split them into 2 nights, but to me, it's a package deal. WrestleMania is WrestleMania. I don't want to do WrestleMania night 1 or night 2. To me, it's all the same. And you know, that might give it a bit of an unfair advantage, but hey, WrestleMania is WrestleMania.
It is. WrestleMania is always it's you know, like Vince's dad always said, the Garden will always be the Garden. WrestleMania always be WrestleMania, and it was such a solid effort from the company this year, both nights. People kind of crap on the finish, you know, whatever. But
what do you think? Do you think I should split the two nights again? Like the announcer of the year poll, it would be weird for me to just all of a sudden start splitting it into two nights.
I think it's different because it's still advertised, it's still promoted as one gigantic event. I think that's the difference.
There you go.
And Mania is still Mania. It's just there's so much talent and there's so much marketing and revenue behind WrestleMania that they almost had to do two nights even before pandemic. Like, can you imagine how much better off the people in New Jersey would have been? They wouldn't still be on that train platform if it was two nights.
Exactly.
So, I mean, you know, it was almost felt like it was organically going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
So, anyway. On with show. Match of the year. This one I got a kick out of. It happened earlier in the year, and it still won the vote by a pretty decent margin. MJF and Bryan Danielson. Again, you're not going to get an argument from me on who the greatest technical wrestler in the world is ever. Our boy Bryan, you know, we've been affiliated with Bryan for so many years now, and then Max, you know, really coming in his own this year. I don't feel there was a better match this year.
Yeah, I agree. And Iron Man matches for me, they're a tough sell to keep me invested for a full hour. That really takes a lot, and I think they pulled it off. I mean, Bryan Danielson doesn't miss. Like when he's in a big match situation, he delivers, and quite frankly, MJF does as well. Like people say, oh, he's a great talker, but he's just an okay wrestler. Well, I call BS on that. I mean, he's as good as anybody in AEW. Like that guy can do some crazy stuff, and yeah, I think that match had a little bit of everything, and I really enjoyed it. But it was a close one for me. I mean, there were a lot of great matches. I mean, more than I can even count. Like, I mean, the entire year was filled with great wrestling.
Yeah, seeing the Intercontinental Championship triple threat match live, it was definitely in my thoughts as the contender. But man, it was so hard to touch Max and Bryan. It really was. You know, Sammy and Roman in February was much more story, but it was still a really good match, I thought. But it was more story than match. The Texas death match, it was just far too much spectacle and just too much for me, personally. So let's see where we're at here. Tag team. There we go. Again, the Judgment Day once again. You know, at the top of the card, if you will, here on the awards. Tag team of the year, faction of the year, heel of the year, feud of the year, and there's one more to come, folks. But man, these two guys in particular, Priest and Balor. You talk about a guy who has rescued his career from destruction at the hands of WWE booking. Finn Balor, you know, the first Universal Champion, and then he got hurt right away during the process of winning the championship, and just kind of really treaded water until he joined Judgment Day, and then off the races he went.
Judgment Day's had a great year. However, they won the tag titles relatively late in the year, and FTR, I think, had such a strong showing of great matches throughout the entire year. I actually would have gone with FTR. It was one of the closer polls on the site. But yeah, I would have personally picked FTR. This is one of the few where I would have gone differently from what people voted for.
Yeah, I think FTR had a better I guess resume, for lack of a better term, of matches. So I agree with that. I just, again, recent bias is always a thing when the votes happen, and the Judgment Day had a solid second half. So
yeah,
as evident in this award as well, because I feel as strong as Rhea's championship win over Charlotte was at WrestleMania, story-wise, talk-wise, on-camera-wise, I'll agree with this. Wrestling matches-wise, the matches she did have, the one with Natty on TV notwithstanding, were solid. There just weren't a lot of them.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why people argued against her winning. But I mean, it's Superstar of the Year, so that includes the overall package, and she's got it. She's got everything going for her right now, and you know, she's going to be a top star for years to come. She is the best thing about the women's division, best thing about women's wrestling, period, as far as I'm concerned. And, you know, one of the few women that can go out there and you believe like she could beat up some of the men. That's how credible she is. So yeah, I 100% agree with this. There's no contest.
Yes. To answer the question, we did have Faction of the Year. It was the Judgment Day. It was announced earlier in the show. So again, all the awards are at nodq.com in the year-end awards section. So be sure to go check that out when we're done.
nodq.com/awards.
There you go. And of course, we've been talking about him all year, really, but definitely the second half. Superstar of the Year, MJF. It's, again, the quality of matches, the mic skills, the promos he cut, the programs he had, the time he gave us. He's our superstar for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's been MJF's year from start to finish. Like he showed up and he showed out, from Revolution to All In, Wembley Stadium, main eventing the biggest show in AEW history. Like, that's huge right there. And having all these great matches and having some of the best matches that he was in, like for the specific stipulation, like Iron Man match, one of the best Iron Man matches of all time. And every match you can think of that he's been in, like he made it one of the best. And I 100% agree with this. You know, Roman Reigns has been the man, but he's also been a part-timer. MJF's been doing it throughout the entire year. So he's got to be my pick for sure.
He is. And with that, we finally close the book on 2023. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in on both channels all year long, nodq.com and across the multiverse of media. It is just absolutely crazy what a year it's been. And we're going to start off big. We had our year-end awards talk. Thank you, Aaron, again for being on. Monday Night Raw is going to start at the top of the hour on, if you're on the East Coast USA Network or TSN or elsewhere, you'll catch it elsewhere. I did want to point this out really quick, if I may, Aaron, because we do have a fan at the San Diego Sports Arena, whatever the hell they're calling it this week. Our buddy Arlene, who is a subscriber to the the Constantine Studios members section, along with her brother. She has a sign there at San Diego, and it says very simply, watch nodq.com and the Jeff Meacham Network. So thank you, Arlene, for bringing it to San Diego. God bless you guys being at the San Diego Sports Arena. Not a fan of that place very much, but it's closer to some folks than the Pond or the old Staples Center. So
that's a very old arena. I went there one time. I was at one show there, and yeah, it's pretty run down.
It is literally just, I think it's the last great hole of an arena in Southern California. Sports Arena has been gone for years. The Forum got refurbished. Thank goodness.
Yeah, that arena needs a serious overhaul. Either build a new one or refurbish this one.
It does. It definitely does. But I'm going to sign off because apparently I can't go through a 145-minute show without getting bombarded with phone calls. So again, we invite everybody to tune in over on the Jeff Meacham Network, Multiverse of Media, for our coverage of Day 1 Raw. Tune in to this guy immediately after Raw on the East Coast for his full recap. Watch Attila's recap after that, I'm sure. Watch JJ's recap coming up tomorrow morning, along with his recap of Raw will be on Wednesday morning. Tomorrow morning will be his recap of the weekend shows. So tune in, everybody. Again, we thank Aaron and everybody at nodq.com for the partnership this year. And we thank everybody who tuned in last night, everybody who tuned in today. We will see you guys all throughout the year right here across nodq.com and along the channels of the Jeff Meacham Network. Good night.
NoDQ.com. NoDQ.com.
NoDQ.com.
NoDQ.com.
NoDQ.com.
NoDQ.com.
NoDQ.com.
NoDQ.com.
The Jeff Meacham Network's Multiverse of Media. For over 15 years, the recognized symbol of excellence and the standard bearer in coverage of sports and entertainment.